I just want to welcome everybody here today, and once again, really proud of our football team and continue to find ways to win and finish out games, and just really proud of Charles Campbell, named the Special Teams Big Ten Player of the Week, and rightly so, with 4 field goals and the obvious one at the end to win the game in overtime from 51, and just his mental toughness, and didn't kick well last week and just came right back and was clutch for us and has been for several years now. So, but I also, in our team meeting this morning, got a chance to recognize Sean Ratcher. I said, Sean, did anybody carry you off the field or get any pictures with people after the game? And he said, no. I said, well, there you go. I said, you were the key to the whole thing, because if without that snap, there would be no kick. But he understands his role. So, but no, he does a phenomenal job. He's so consistent, and as well as James, the holder, all those guys, the protection up front, everything matters. Everybody, focuses on the kicker, which he obviously has to kick the ball through the uprights. But the best team is who wins on game day, and so those guys did a great job being great teammates and doing their job and allowing us that opportunity to be able to get that field goal. So just proud of our guys, and just be able to show some grit and fight, and that's a huge thing. So, but just also want to recognize our players of the game. We had Caleb Murphy, offensive player of the game, and that's something our staff felt strongly about, and just because he was not expected to play like he did in terms of the reps, but with Carp going down during warm-ups and being able to allow him to play all the snaps on offense, and did a great job. So really proud of him. And defensively, Aaron Casey was our defensive player of the game. Just really proud of his progress and just development as a player and as a person. We already talked about him last week, but just played his best football game, I believe, since he's been here. Cam Jones continues to play at a high level, and very productive. Again, a huge takeaway that he caused, but just felt like that Aaron had earned that, and I think Cam was the first one to congratulate him. So just that kind of a team we've got, which is awesome. And then special teams with Charles Campbell, but also Jalen Williams was also the co-special teams player of the game with a key block of their field goal in overtime, which was massive. And then he also was the one that downed the ball on the 2-yard line to pin him down in exchange of playing very good complementary football. We were able to get him on the 2-yard line, force him to punt inside the 5, and then going down and scoring a touchdown. So he was a huge part of that, and then also just his special teams play in general on all those were huge. So just proud of those guys for competing at a high level, and got to keep getting better. We all know that, but it's huge to be able to be resilient in late games, to be able to play our best football when it counts the most. Really excited about this opportunity this week with Cincinnati. Coach Fickle's done a tremendous job. Just really impressive what they built there, and playing a playoff team at home. So great challenge, great opportunity for us to be able to be on the road for our first road game of the season, and just impressive what they've done. They got a lot of guys back on offense, but a lot of new faces on defense, but still playing at a very high level. Really good system, good scheme they have. The players have been developed, you can tell. So the guys stepping in, they got some transfers stepping in as well, and making a lot of plays for them. So it's just a very good football team, and saw that when we went and played Arkansas, and so film is very obvious. So really have to play our best football, have to play a complete game from start to finish and beyond whatever it takes. So appreciate that. Any questions?
Talking about Caleb Murphy, I think there was like a video of him post-game. He looked pretty emotional. Just, on the one hand, what does it mean for him being from generally this area, which doesn't produce a ton of, particularly where he's from, I think a ton of Big Ten level talent. And on the other hand, how does it elevate an offense, whether it's on the field in the moment or when you're able to kind of go back and review it later, that a guy steps in so late notice like that and plays like he did?
Yeah, I think it's just a huge thing, and as you saw, his emotional response was very genuine and real, and it means so much to him to be part of this team, be a football player here in Indiana, being from so close and representing his whole community, and just the pride he has in being from there, and being able to just come here and just work his tail off to get in this position, moved positions, from defensive line to offensive line, and he was the third string center, a few weeks ago, and then with Cam, going down, and then obviously with the situation that happened on game day, and that was nothing that anybody expected. Matter of fact, I was kind of shocked to hear it, when we were in the locker room, they were getting ready to come out. So, but that's what you got to be ready to do. So we use that as an example. I talked to our whole team about that this morning. Just a few weeks ago, he's throwing the depth chart. Now he's playing every single snap and special teams, because he's a part of those as well. So just a great testament to him and how hard he's worked, how much he cares. And but you can win a lot of games with guys that are smart, tough, dependable, and have a high care factor. And it means something for him to put that jersey on and represent his whole community, and that's a pretty awesome thing.
It's just sticking on that. How did Zach hurt himself? What is his injury, and what's kind of his prognosis, and what's the situation with him?
Yeah, it's something in his hand. He's gonna. We're still getting evaluated, trying to figure out how long it would be. It's not going to be season-ending or anything like that, but it definitely is something we got to deal with. And obviously since he's a center and snapping the football, so it is something with his hand that he's got to deal with. But not anything that's, like you said, super serious, but definitely for his position and what he does, could be something we're going to have to make adjustments with. So not expected, very, freaky, I guess would be freaky accident if that doesn't usually happen. I don't know if I've ever had this happen before in all my 30 years of that type of thing and that type of warm-up, because we just did the same thing we always do. So, but just it happened, and that's why you got depth, and that's why you develop guys. And so hopefully we'll know more here soon, getting him back with us. But yeah, just kind of a freak thing.
Hey, Coach. How did you find Caleb Murphy at a 1A school like West Washington? How did that happen?
Yeah, he came to camp, and he was a guy that we had to project, positionally. I think we always felt like that he's a kind of a jumbo guy. We talk about jumbo defensive end. Those big guys could play tight end. He played offensive tackle for them. He was a high school wrestler. Actually started his whole wrestling. He's one of those schools where they didn't have wrestling, and he's the one that kind of got it all started, which is crazy, and then did really well, So yeah, you have it's a little bit of a tougher evaluation because of an interior guy or a guy on line of scrimmage playing at that size of a school. Sometimes it's hard to tell, where he's at, but he comes to camp, and we liked what we saw from him. Weren't exactly sure what he was going to be yet, but that planted the seeds. And I met with him and his family in my office, and I just kind of knew, we didn't offer him right away, but I just knew he was what we're looking for. Just the passion, the toughness, the fight. You just talk to his high school coaches and the people there in his community, and which we do, and you just had, those internal qualities of just character and discipline and the high care factor. You kind of thought that's what you're going to get from him when he came here, because it meant so much to him. He got emotional in my office, about how much he wanted to be here and play here. And so, but I didn't give him a scholarship right away after those first meetings, but kind of let the weeks go by, and I actually had him at another camp. He went to a camp up in the Chicago area, and we had our coaches there, and so I had to take a second peek at him, and so we offered him in that exchange there. So, but I think it was just more of a gut feel that he's our kind of guy, and like I said, we started him on defense, and I think that's probably where, he would have preferred to play when he first got here, which we always had those conversations, but he's always been like, Coach, I'll play wherever you want, whatever you want me to do. And so that kind of guy, but he always kind of felt like, he's a good athlete, that the center position kind of you thought would be a good projection for him one day, and just like I said, the smart, tough, dependable guy that position demands, really kind of fits his personality. And if you're talking about our staff, it's just like, and it was unanimous that he would be the player of the game. Everybody loves him. You just can't question his passion for this program and this university. And so that's, it's just neat to see guys like that, be rewarded for their perseverance, even though he's still young, and so, but I wasn't surprised that he played so well, because he's going to give you everything he's got for 60 minutes and beyond.
Looked like Western Kentucky got a long touchdown in the first half off of blown coverage in the defensive backfield, and it looked like you had a pretty passionate response after that play. What was your message to them, and how did you see them respond in the second half?
Yeah, so just a little frustrated with that question, but just didn't communicate with what we had called, and so had guys, they said they thought they saw one signal, and so we had some guys playing one coverage, other guys playing another, and so that was frustrating. But at the same time, it was just, we got to just calm down, and they're going to go fast, and just make sure you know the call. And if we're all 11 guys are playing the same call, then good things happen. If half are playing one call, half are playing the other, that's not usually a pretty good, formula for success. So, but yeah, they did some, again, you watch film, that's what they do. You get people in those situations and they run, they switch things up and they make you have to react to those kind of things. So, but the tempo is really a big challenge, even though we see it all the time, and it's still, you got to defend it. And so, but I didn't think we didn't communicate as well, even on that, the second touchdown, the trick play that they ran was just like, just poor communication. I could see it. I'm trying to scream and yell to get them to see it, and they should have, because of the way they have to align to run that. So just didn't think that was really at a high enough level, without question. So just got to get it, and we try to get those things cleaned up and get it fixed throughout the game and let our guys play fast.
Yeah, hey, Tom, over here. With Cam Jones, and I know you've talked about his leadership before, but what makes it, how uncommon is it to have that type of singular force as a leader, where a lot of guys want to be a leader? Not everybody can be one, and be one where he's fine with taking charge himself if he has to.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unusual in this sport when you have this many guys on a team, 125 guys, and to have one guy that really has become the spokesperson is unusual, So, but man, he's so, I guess there's a reason why he's a three-time captain. I mean, I guess so, he shouldn't be surprised, but and I do think that he has embraced it, and that's the part that has been so neat to see, because some guys really kind of fight it because it's not really their comfort zone, because it's hard. Leading's hard, and it takes energy, it takes mental, drain to be able to make sure, and we go to Cam and have him talk to certain guys about whatever, and even did that even in this last week, and he texted me late last night and wanted to say something to the team, and I trust him so much I didn't even ask him what he was going to say, So, but it was all good stuff and just challenging guys, and so, but he's just always in tune with everything that's going on, and so, and he seems to know what to say, when to say it, and that's a unique quality, I think. Sometimes guys talk too much. When they're younger, they don't understand that, and then sometimes they don't say enough. And he seems to have a good balance. He doesn't talk too much by any means, and because he is naturally pretty quiet. So that's what I'm saying. He's embraced a challenging, the challenge I've given to him years ago about being, and even this year, that was kind of the whole thing was, he had a decision to make about staying or going to the NFL after last year. And my challenge to him was I felt he needed to develop some more things as a linebacker. We talked about that, but also it was about leadership. And, Mike was going to move on and go play in the NFL. And I said, now you assume that role and you take your leadership to another level. And he's done that. And that's, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. You can't make them, and it's frustrating when they don't respond, but it's been amazing. And so he's earned the right to speak, which is part of the process you go through, and I'm just really excited for him, and he's continuing to, like I even shared this morning, he's not just talking and leading verbally, he's leading physically, he's making plays, made really the huge turning point in the game to get that takeaway, and our offense goes in and scores. So just he's backing it up with his play and his words. So when your words and your actions align, well, you got a powerful combination, and that's what he's doing.
So Connor has told us this week that he feels he's been really maturing. He's taking all the lessons that he's learned at Missouri and translating it here for your benefit. How have you seen him mature on the field from when you first started looking at his film?
I think for me, and he's had to learn a new system. And that process is still ongoing. I think even just from things on Saturday, just continue to he'll keep getting better. But I just think the ability to, the decision making, that's where I see the growth in, and being able to distribute the football to a lot of different guys, which is key for us, and so in the way people have to defend us, and just to be able to, if he needs to get yards, it's his legs, he's able to do that, and even continue to work on some of those things. We could have had a couple better reads on those areas, but I just think it's just mastery of the offense, I think it's just confidence in the people around him, and developing those relationships and just being able to continue to develop as a verbal leader, and say what needs to be said to the team in those moments on the sideline. And when we're out on the field, you're ready to take the field. And because not a lot, we don't huddle anymore, so it's not like all that communication goes on the field, because of the nature of how the game is played. But I just think that you can just see the growth and just almost just the confidence in both himself and what we're doing and the guys around him, and it's mutual, So that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And I just think that, he played at a really high level his first year as a starter, and then didn't have had good production, but not quite as good the second year. And I just think that you grow, you learn, and he's able to handle. He's been in a lot of big games, and he's been able to handle those situations, to be against some of the best teams in America, and playing on the road or at home and big crowds. And so I just think that his experience has showed itself big in the 2 games we won in the last seconds, and obviously those touchdown drives that he's generated and led as a quarterback have been massive. So I think those, like I said, don't just happen overnight. It's been years in the making, and we're reaping the benefits of his experience and what he brings to our team.
Tom, Western Kentucky ran the ball pretty effectively against your defense. Are you still having the issues with missed tackles, run fits, and that type of thing?
Yeah, it was in the second half. So they had 33 yards rushing in the first half. So it was, and I will say I'll take some of this because we made some adjustments to try and give us some help in the pass game that I thought we needed, and I thought it hurt us in the run game. Didn't think it would hurt us to that extent. There was 4 runs that really kind of gave them their 80% of their yards, and so there were some big chunk runs that they get you all spread out, so you lose some of your layers. But I felt like I kind of over-adjusted some things at halftime to try and get some help there, and it didn't work, so I'll take the blame for that. We did have some missed tackles that I wasn't happy about, especially I think on our perimeter guys. Our DBs need to tackle better, especially some of our 2s, and saw some of our 1s tackle better. I thought Monster had a really good day tackling, and Fitzy as well. But some of our guys that we're going to play, because we play a lot of guys, those guys got to step up their game. We're going to emphasize that. So I think a little combination. So it wasn't as much pure. I felt like the last time, especially against Illinois, that a lot of them were just, the fits weren't is where they needed to be. This was a little more of a combination of some things schematically that I felt like I probably put our guys in a tougher spot, and so I would, that's on me. But just to me, I feel like just continue to work on tackling, continue to work on our run fits, and the things we know we got to do. And every week's a little bit different. That you put together a game plan. So everybody we play runs football effectively. So you gotta keep improving those.
Coach, against Idaho, it was Sean Shivers in the running game. Last week, it was Josh Henderson, both in the rushing game and outside on the touchdown before it was called back for an OPI. Are you guys looking to build kind of a 2-headed monster in the backfield, or is it just kind of riding the hot hand? No, it's 2-headed monster. I think it's a 1-2 punch with those 2 guys. They're 2 different guys. I think they're both very talented players. Not really surprised by Josh. Saw it in practice. He didn't come in with as much, hype or fanfare maybe, but really, really good player. Got really good vision. Got really good balance. It's hard to tackle. Great out of the backfield. Made a great one-handed catch and got a bunch of yards. We had over 100 yards, out with the running backs out of the backfield, getting them the ball, which is going to be a huge part of what we do. And I just love the way he sees the field, So I think he and Sean need to be great together, and they are. I mean, they have great chemistry. They really respect each other. And then you got Jalen, who's another guy we're going to continue to get involved and get him some touches. So I like that group. I like that room. They're really unselfish, and definitely going to maximize them all.
Coach, I know I asked about Aaron Casey last week, but when you were going through and deciding who was going to wear number 44, who all was involved in that conversation, and what all just do you remember from that? Yeah, it was our whole coaching staff, and so I think, and we had some new guys, so, they don't know him as well, so they were, in the meeting, but probably didn't have as much input, but I think even off the field, guys, we have our support staff, our strength staff. I want everybody that's around our guys on the field, off the field, to have an input in the decision-making process, and so I listened to a lot of people's thoughts, and it was pretty obvious, that he was the guy, so, but to me, it's, when you talk about, what's a guy like every day, and, you can, in recruiting, you try and figure that out. Well, even when they get here, okay, who's around him all the time? And I want to talk to the academic folks that see him in that setting, and then if
people, and doesn't matter what other avenue they're at on this campus. We want to make sure we have a good, holistic perspective of who they are, and over time you're going to show who you are, good or bad. So he's just so highly respected by everybody, and just like I said, we saw the qualities I mentioned out of him before, but it was a collective effort by our whole staff. Like I said, not just on the field coaches, but everybody in our program that are able to be around our guys and know who they are on a consistent basis.
Tom, Miles Jackson obviously came up with a couple big takeaways last week. How well has he fit into your defense, and how did he kind of get acclimated coming from UCLA?
He's been actually one of our pleasant surprises. Really liked him as we recruited him. Didn't know him as well as I did some of these other guys. Did not know him out of high school. But just through that process, it was just like he stuck, the maturity kind of stuck out to me, and just the fit with what we care about. Now, to me, I mean, we did our homework with those that we know where he's coming from, but also it was pretty obvious when he got here that he made an immediate impact, man. So he confirmed everything we thought about him, and then you start practicing in the spring, and then it just continued to grow. And I will say this too. So when James' head went down a few weeks ago, so we had to move him around a little bit, and I thought it kind of set him back. He was really rolling as the bull position, and then he moved over to in, and I can play both. So it's kind of had a little bit of the growing pains of learning two different positions, and I thought it made him not quite as aggressive, and so but he got back to that this past week. So I didn't think he was that way a week ago. Tried to kind of solidify him in some spots, and so he's been big for us, and I think that position, either side, he's strong enough to play strong side in. He's athletic enough to play bull. He obviously got the big interception there, which is massive play in that game. So just got the fumble recovery, as well. So two huge takeaways, and we have a phrase in our program: the ball finds energy. So he would be, if I had to say, Cam Jones is phenomenal, but the next guy that I would say practice effort is him. I mean, his practice effort is awesome, and it's that way every single day. And matter of fact, we used him as an example several times in the first few practices of, hey, this is what this, and he's a new guy. I said, man, this is what it's supposed to look like. We're doing Skelly, because we bring our bulls down for Skelly a lot of times, and so he's just chasing the ball. I mean, we're talking 250-pound guy just flying every snap. So just really great motor. And those kind of guys make plays, especially the longer they're in the program and in the system and learn it better and know it better. And so, we need them to step up and keep making those big plays for us and getting us off the field.
So LEO is obviously the program culture. You've made a point at our press conferences of making sure players get recognition, but what is it like to see that in action in the big moments when everyone's running up to Chuck to give him a hug after he makes that kick, and in the locker room after the game when you bring him up and the whole team's chanting his name? What is it like to see the culture in those huge moments for the team like that?
Well, I think it's when you get a chance to really see, who you are, especially when the moments leading up to that, when you don't know the outcome, and you just have so much energy on the sidelines, so much positive, belief that we're going to find a way to win the game, and the guys just stay together, and then they get rewarded for that. And then a guy like Chuck, who's just done such a great job for us for so long, and had it, wasn't his best last week, and then he responded, so that's life. You got to learn to do that. And so to see the guys just embrace each other and care about each other and not make it about themselves, and I think that's neat to see. Like I said, that's what you want. You want a group of guys that, man, they're so tight and connected, and that's why I think you get in this sport. It's what makes you special. As a team, you got to have great players. I get that, but the individuals have to come together, and they have to, buy into whatever culture you have that gets the team to be the focus. And that's challenging to do. I get it, but that's the objective, and that's what we've been trying to do, and that's how we praise it, and that's how we package it. But we also appeal to the heart of the young man and how he's going to be developed, and how these qualities are going to allow him to be successful in life and whatever he's a part of. So I think Chuck's just an example of that, and other guys that have stepped up and made big plays, they will be as well. And like I said, even when Aaron Casey gets recognized, and Cam's the first guy there to be recognizing that he was well earned, even though he played great himself. So I just think that it's a whole team full of guys and coaches that don't care who gets the credit. Why? Because it's not about me.
Tom, I know every game is the most important game, but there are no doubt that certain games have more value, I guess I would say. Cincinnati, a team that played in the college football playoffs last year, beating them on the road. The value of that win for this team, I would think, especially at this point, would be pretty high. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, I would place a high value on it without question. And you know my approach, it's been this way ever since I've been here. It's the biggest game of the season because it's the next one. And that's how we're going to discuss it tomorrow. We'll approach it that same exact way, but I do understand, road games are always big and they're important and they're hard. And to play a playoff team is an awesome opportunity. So our guys understand that. And they understand each week's a big deal. And then the key is how much better can we get from the last time we took the field to when we take the field on Saturday. And that's the focus. And to me, that consistent improvement, the attention to detail at a high level, and everything to do, whether it's the walkthrough on the field today, the lift, the meetings, the practice tomorrow, the meetings afterwards we have in the evening, the things we do every single day. Who's going to really understand that those things get intensified each and every week as the season progresses. So now, we play, such a great schedule that, all these games are, big games and important and going to be played on a, packed out stadium. It's going to be loud and ruckus and it's going to be awesome. So our guys are excited about that, but they do understand that, but our preparation has to reflect that. And that's on this team. That's on our leaders of this team. And we've talked about guys that are in those roles right now, and that leadership has to elevate itself this week. And as we continue to grow, and this will be our first road game, which is an important thing for us to be able to show we can handle that environment and handle the trip to be able to be at our very, very best. So, yes, big game for us, biggest game of the season because it's the next one. Leo, have an awesome day.